Hi there, everybody. I'm Fred Thomas, and you are watching All Things Bike. And today we are speaking with Eric Pulsifer of the Woodside One Wheelers and his son Noah. Eric, Noah, welcome to All Things Bike.
Thank you.
I got to ask, how did you get involved with riding a unicycle?
It started actually about 12 years ago, and my principal at the time, his name is Rick Diedick, who was a former unicyclist from the Jim Dandies. He actually, we went and said, can you teach me how to juggle? And you could see a spark in his eye, and he kind of said, oh, I can teach you how to do that. And he's also wanted to get a unicycle group started for a long time. So him and I started having a conversation about starting some unicycling and at the school as a different activity for kids, which was really kind of neat, you know, and the kids took off pretty quick with it and were excited. And
so you mentioned the Jim Dandies. Is this a troupe or something?
It is. So the Jim Dandies are a group in Scarborough that is celebrated, I think, over 35 years of being in existence. So we're kind of a offshoot of a spring off of that, which is kind of cool. And it's, you know, unicycle riders are a rare breed. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really kind of special to have that connection with kids, and we still have a good relationship with them, and and we're you know, kind of special. And
here you are. Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen anyone riding a unicycle as an adult, and certainly not outside of the circus sort of environment or that whole genre. But here we are, and here is a unicycle. And Noah, why don't you stand up and move the unicycle out front so everyone can see it, and then just tell us a little bit about the machine.
Well, it doesn't have a pedal. I don't know why.
Oh, that's all right. But it seems to work. So
yeah,
so it doesn't have a pedal, or it doesn't have a gear.
Yeah, it doesn't have a gear. And so how you get on it, it's like you just do this, and then you just try and bounce on.
Pop up.
Is that right? You're making it sound so easy. I mean, the idea of doing that is terrifying to me. But
so
what are some other parts, Noah?
Well, there is the wheel, and you know it's one.
That's right. That's right. What happened to the other one? They run out of front wheels, like this bike has got two. I don't know. Well, then, I mean, does it have brakes? How do you stop?
Well, you don't.
You don't stop. You just keep on going.
No, there's no brakes. There's one way to stop. You grab the front, and then you drop down onto your feet.
So falling off is the way I would get off.
And how I practice, I bumped into a lot of people.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, thank you, Noah. I know a lot more now about unicycles, and I can't wait to see you ride one. We're going to do a little separate episode about that. But back to you, Eric. How did the unicycle become an educational experience? I mean, what was the background of that?
So we came, like I said, it started as an after-school, like a before-school program, and then we quickly moved to after-school. And it just there were some kids that wanted to try something different, and it's, you know, I always say it's a lot more than just unicycling our group. And we had, even before the riding, we had one girl come up to me and say, you know, I can do stilts. And I said, really? That's great. And, you know, a lot of kids will say that, and sure enough, that kid could really do it. And flash forward 12 years later, that skill, learned how to unicycle, and has become an important part of that kid's life, and who's now a senior in college. And so it's become one of those things where, you know, the confidence it builds in kids. Not only does it have the balance skills, and it has the that stuff, but it also has the self-confidence that it builds in kids.
The performing.
Oh, the performing aspect of it, and the same kid, you know, she rode in the Dempsey Challenge a couple of years and rode 25 miles on her unicycle. Wow. So it's just become part of those.
And I mean, do you have adults? I mean, or have you ever tried to teach an adult?
Yeah. So we have we have some adults that have kind of popped in, some friends of mine from high school and said, I want to try. So we've given some pointers and stuff like that. We don't have adults in the group. We have some kids who are now coaching and that were members of the group that kind of come back and want to continue with the group, and so they help coach and they help go on performances and stuff like that. But
I mean, they learn how to do it.
They've learned ahead of time. So we've had a couple people, when I say one of my friends from high school that came in and we gave him some pointers, and it took him a little bit less. He had some background and some balance and stuff like that, so it helped him a lot. We had another gentleman named Steve Spaeth, who's one of our assistant coaches, and he is a scientist by trade. So he really took the approach of learning how to by science.
The physics of
the physics of it, absolutely.
Yeah, wow.
And you know, he had many times where
gravity.
Oh yeah, I mean he has charts upon charts on how to ride a unicycle. So it's really kind of it becomes a lot more.
Right. There are many ways to sort of make it interesting and tie education to it. That's fantastic. That's great. Well, how has the organization Woodside One Wheelers evolved over 12 years? I mean, it's small and now it's a lot bigger, right?
We started with about 30 kids. At the end of that first year, we had about 5 kids riding a unicycle. I remember vividly the first day we had a small assembly, we had this one kid who had learned how to ride a lap and a half around our gym in our school, which is a very, very big gym. But it was the biggest deal you'd ever seen, was this kid riding a unicycle around a gym a lap and a half, and the crowd was going nuts. And so we kind of started from there. And I remember a conversation I had with our principals, and they said, be careful, this is going to get big someday. And I said, no, it's we're going to have a nice, small little group. So it's kind of evolved.
But he's right. I mean, tell us about some of the places you performed.
Yeah. So about 3 years in, we applied for the National Cherry Blossom Parade down in Washington, D.C. In 2010, and we went down and performed in that. We've been there twice so far. We've also performed. We've been out to West Virginia a couple times. We recently just got back from Philadelphia from the 4th of July parade. Which the major parades are really cool, and we actually did a halftime show for the Philadelphia 76ers one time.
I think I saw that.
Yep, which is an amazing performance. Our kids probably had their best performance they've ever had in that day, and they really rose their game.
And it was a full auditorium, cast of thousands.
Absolutely.
But weren't they nervous?
They were nervous.
Don't you get nervous, Noah? I mean, what are you nervous about? You going to fall, or that you won't do the turn the right way, or what do you think?
Well, I'm nervous because I'm scared I'm going to fall on somebody. But I had troubles turning. And turning, you use your hips. Like, if I want to use my hips, like.
It's like skating backwards, maybe, in hockey. Is that right? Or not quite. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I can understand why you're nervous. If you can't turn. That might be a little alarming. But do you wear a helmet? You got to wear helmets and knee pads and all?
We wear helmets and like wrist guards and knee pads and elbow pads to keep us safe.
Yeah.
And
that's helpful, right? I mean, you don't fall that often, right? And even if you do, you're not really falling a long distance, because this is only what, 2 feet?
8.
There's an 18-inch unicycle.
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, there's an 18-inch unicycle. So they don't fall very far.
You don't very far.
That's actually one of the first things they learn how to do is how to fall properly. And roll with it and kind of slide. They get down there, slide on their knees and stuff like that. And we've been lucky over the years. I mean, the kids really take to it, and kids kind of bounce a little bit.
Yeah, they
do.
They
really bounce.
You guys bounce a lot better than 50-year-olds.
Exactly.
Well, who makes the unicycle? I mean, is there one single manufacturer?
So no, there's multiple different manufacturers, and this just happens to be a Sun unicycle. A lot of our kids either use Sun unicycles or Torque unicycles. And there's another one that there's a website called unicycle.com.
There you go.
Of course, and they've been really good to us, and they have club unicycles as well. So it's just a little bit different as far as different styles. This is a beginner level unicycle. We have some have thicker wheels and knobby wheels for off-road. Absolutely off-road. We actually have a trail in back of the school that the older kids will often practice, and so it becomes that. And then we get into the Giraffe unicycles as well, which are the 5-foot ones. Yeah, 5-foot ones.
They're not made out of carbon fiber with
no
wheels
carbon
fiber.
No, it's
electronic shifting. No, you don't.
Not yet. Although
clip-in pedals.
The bigger ones do have brakes on them. The bigger, like a 36-inch wheel, which is, you figure this about this big, they have a handbrake on them, and because they get going about 25 miles an hour on those things sometimes.
It helps to be able to.
It definitely
And
helps.
it's a fixed gear, so your legs are always spinning around?
Yep, it's a fixed gear. I think I've heard about some that have a free wheel, but then that's a little bit different of a ball game there. And
wow, well, we're talking technical bikes here. I want to back up. Tell us about the choreographing of some of these events and how that works.
Yeah, and one of the really unique things about our group is the fact that we just don't do one thing. We do parades, and we do halftime shows, and we do community shows. So for me, a lot of times it's literally I'm sleeping or I'm teaching in class, and I go, wait a second, I got to do this, and I'll go create a.
Oh, you create it.
In my head, I'll create this routine. And a lot of it's trying to get the kids to move in different ways, and we have some set pieces that we'll do.
Right.
One of our signature things, we do a double circle. We'll have one kid on a 3-wheel unicycle in the middle, and then a bunch of kids doing circles around them. So that's kind of a set piece.
In the opposite direction?
Yep. So we have one circle go one way, the next circle. So, and then we'll do a split, and they'll peel back, and they'll do a cross, and so a lot of different things that we can kind of pull and to put into different routines at different times.
Right.
In our shorts, we have what's called a star, a large star, which we can connect about 50 people, all connected coming out this way, so it kind of grows, and that's always a fun one to do.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like the Blue Angels of bikes, right? Did you get some inspiration when you were
It's funny. I always watch it. I always watch them and go, yeah. How can I do that? No,
except for the chicken part.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, and is there? I mean, right. So you've got a whole variety of choreographed events. I mean, what more could there be to a show? I mean, you announced the maneuvers.
Right. So once again, it depends on with the show we're doing. Like if we were performing, we're coming up on November 3rd. We'll be at the Maine Red Claws, and so that will create a routine for that. We'll have about 7.5 minutes, and I know that coming in. So my goal behind that is to kind of build the routine from a little exciting to a little more exciting to a little more exciting to the finale, to the dramatic finale. You know, and my other goal is we have a lot of kids who are new. You know, Noah here is his first year doing the program. He's just starting this year, so we're hoping he's gonna be ready for that. But all the kids get to perform in it, even if they're performing a small part. And then our more experienced kids get to the point where they are. They're highlighted more, and you know. So if we do a halftime show, they're going to be in the tricky parts, and they're going to be in a situation where they're the leader of the group, and. Then if we have a community show, well, I have more time. Then I'll say, oh, so our tricks today are this.
Feature that.
You know, so I can say, oh, you know, Noah's going to demonstrate how to do stationary unicycle, which is staying in one spot. And so it allows them to highlight that. So
track stand.
Exactly. It is kind of the idea, and you know.
Well, that's great. I mean, so you mentioned the Red Claws. Tell us about some of the things that are coming up and how we would be able to see them.
Yep. So right now we have the Maine Red Claws on November the 3rd, which is opening night for the Red Claws. We are planning on doing the Damariscotta Pumpkin Festival Parade for the first time, and that's in October. And then we'll also do the Sparkle Parade in Freeport in December. The first Friday in December we'll be there. So that's kind of our schedule coming out. And we have our big community show coming up in March of next year. We always have like the second Friday in March, I believe it is our big community show, and that's at Mount Airy High School. And that's all of our kids, and that's like an hour show. And it really allows us to highlight everybody.
Wow. So I mean, that's a busy schedule.
Right. Yep.
Wow. Well, are you ready, Noah? Are you ready for the schedule this year?
Yes. I'm also I'm nervous.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna fall on a show and
Yeah, understood. But don't worry too much. If you practice,
it's only a show.
Yeah, it's well. Don't worry about that. You'll be fine. Whether it's this show, which you're going to do after this episode, or the shows that you've got coming up. But tell you what, if you practice, it'll be as easy as riding a bike.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Well, that's all really we got time for. Thanks so much, Eric and Noah, for being on the show, and we will be seeing Noah and his teammates riding a unicycle. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to know more about the Woodside One Wheelers, you can find them on Google and learn more and check out their calendar. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you again soon.
All Things Bike with Fred Thomas is brought to you by Zentis, Performance carbon wheels handmade in Austria for road and off-road riding. Zentis, next generation wheels. And Frame and Wheel eBay bike selling services. Time, space, cash. Pick 3. And AD Bikes, the modern face of Austro-Daimler cycling and the bike company of the future.